Among lovers of pets with an exotic appearance, it is often customary to keep wild felines in their home. For this, rather large animals are usually chosen: servals, ocelots, cheetahs, lynxes. A miniature Asian predator, a rusty cat attracts the owner with both an unusual color and external resemblance to a domestic cat. History of the origin of rusty cats. The rusty spotted cat, this is what this animal is called, is a medium-sized wild predator of the feline family. Zoologists attribute it to the genus Asian cats. The first description of a rusty cat was made by the French naturalist Isidore Geoffroy Saint-Hilaire back in 1831. The zoologist examined in detail the skin of the animal that was hitherto unknown to science and came to the conclusion that this is a completely new species. Vague red spots on the sides attracted his attention, which later gave the name to the new species, Prionaliurus rubiginesis, Latin, rusted. Interesting fact, in the natural environment, the rusty cat lives in eastern India, Nepal and the central highlands of Sri Lanka. The animal behaves very carefully and goes hunting exclusively at night, so its first night photo was taken only in 2014 in Nepal, Bardia National Park. Interestingly, this took a lot of time, and out of 37 hidden cameras pre-installed to study these nocturnal animals, only one was able to photograph a small rusty cat that went hunting. According to the most recent scientific data, the total number of rusty cats in the wild does not exceed 10,000 individuals. The reason for the lack of population growth is the constant increase in the amount of agricultural land in India, which narrows the habitat of the rusty cat and prevents its normal existence and reproduction. Because of this species is listed in the International Red Book under the status endangered species. In India and Nepal, hunting for a rusty cat is strictly prohibited. Rusty cat, breed description. Some ordinary people believe that a rusty cat looks a bit like a Bengal cat, and in some ways they are right. After all, living in the wild made her body slim and agile. The color of the rusty cat is also very similar to the color of its Bengal relative, only in a lighter and less contrasting version. The adults of this species are small in size, which is why they are sometimes called hummingbird cats. They weigh almost 3 times less than the average domestic cats. The weight of the male is 1.6 kilograms, the weight of the female is 1.2 kilograms. Such a light weight does not in the least prevent rusty cats from being dexterous hunters. External features of a rusty cat. The body is proportional and thin, 45 to 48 centimeters long in males and 34 to 40 in females. Height at the withers 19 to 20 centimeters. Feet, short, completely pubescent, with rather wide toes, black pads and brownish nails. Tail, looks like a straight stick, dotted with dark stripes, 15 to 30 centimeters long. The head is small, somewhat flat. Nose, dark brown, protruding slightly forward. Ears, rather large, rounded at the ends and surrounded by a narrow strip of red hair. Eyes, round, somewhat protruding, rather large, with dark eyelids and iris of grayish-brown, brown, orange or amber. The mustache is two-colored, black at the roots and white at the ends. The color of the cheeks and chin of a rusty cat is light cream. Each cheek has a pair of blurry brown stripes. Along the whole body of the cat, on the left and on the right, there are 4 dark longitudinal stripes, which begin on the head and end at the spine. Popular colors of rusty cats. The coat of a rusty cat is rather short, and the coat itself is thick and very soft with the same soft undercoat. The color of the animal's coat ranges from dark gray with a reddish tint to light gray with a reddish tint. The undercoat is lighter in color, light beige or almost white. Due to the slight difference in coat color and different habitats, zoologists have divided the rusty cat into 2 populations. Rubiginosa has a lighter, reddish color, lives in Nepal and India. Philipsi has a darker color, grayish-reddish, lives on the island of Sri Lanka. In representatives of both populations, the dark pattern of spots and stripes on the sides looks about the same. It is worth noting that on the cat's belly and on the inside of its paws, the coat is lighter and also longer and thicker than on the back. The fur on the tail is also thick and even longer than on the belly. Spotted rusty cat PR rubiginosa, with a lighter coat color, inhabits most of the territory of India. In the central part of the country, its population is most numerous. The typical habitat for a cat is humid forests and shrubs in the tropics and subtropics. This subspecies is also found in rocky areas, although much less often. Animals usually hide in small caves and crevices here. On the island of Sri Lanka, a PR Philipsi cat lives in moist mountain forests at an altitude of 2,100 meters above sea level. Wild small predators, thanks to their spotted striped color, are perfectly camouflaged among stones and dense vegetation. The nature and habits of rusty cats. Despite its small size, a rusty cat has the ability to desperately defend itself and attack prey, even significantly exceeding its own size and weight. This is evidenced by many eyewitness accounts, in particular, a very interesting record by ornithologist Thomas Jerdon, who traveled across India in 1837 to study the fauna. The record tells how the scientist became an unwitting witness of an interesting case when a tamed rusty cat unexpectedly pounced on a young roe deer and grabbed her neck. At the same time, the weight of the roe deer was at least 15 kilograms and the little daring predator, as you know, weighs no more than 2 kilograms. Interesting fact, the scientist's companions had to catch a roe deer in order to free it from the cat's tenacious grip. Before this incident, it was known that the rusty cat hunted only squirrels and small rodents. The most distinctive character trait of rusty cats is the manifestation of friendliness towards humans. It is known that even adults caught in the wild and placed in a cage never bite or attack, but only rush about the cage in panic. As for kittens, they quite easily get used to and become attached to the person who feeds and raises them. These cats are kept in zoos all over the world and there are no incidents with their maintenance. So if you take a small kitten of a rusty cat into the house, then problems with its adaptation and socialization are guaranteed not to arise. In the family, such cats grow up as playful, active, affectionate and gentle pets that adore their owners. Interesting facts about rusty cats. Pictures of a rusty cat in its natural habitat are very rare. It is known that there are only a dozen of her pictures and they were taken not so long ago. All other videos and photographs were taken either in zoos or in national parks where animals have long been accustomed to the presence of man and are not at all afraid of him. Usually 2 to 3 kittens are born in the litter of a rusty cat. Curiously, they are always twins of the same sex, only males or only females. In the scientific community, there are supporters of the theory of dividing the species rusty spotted cat into 2 subspecies, P.R. rubiginosa and P.R. phillipsi. However, in reality, these are 2 separate populations and not separate subspecies, since each population lives in a separate area. This, in fact, is the difference between the subspecies and the population. A rusty cat is not at all afraid of water, moreover, it knows how to swim perfectly. If there is a body of water near the animal's den, then it often supplements its diet with freshly caught fish. These cats are solitary animals that gather in pairs only for a short time during the mating season. The rest of the time they live each individual by itself. The locals of India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka have tried since ancient times to tame rusty cats and make them pets. Often they succeeded because animals are very curious and friendly to humans. If a human dwelling is located in close proximity to the forest, then rusty cats often steal chickens from chicken coops. The locals do not like this and they exterminate these animals, which does not